Hey guys, Corey with Merit Precious Metals. What we're going to do today is we're going to start showing you the beginning stages of silver refinement, really any precious metals refinement, and that is taking a metal and putting it into a solution form. And it doesn't matter what that metal is. Today we're going to be working with silver, and what we have in these beakers is basically a very, very clean, we've already refined this. It is in a form of silver that they call cement silver, and we're going to dissolve all of this cement silver into this solution, and we're going to keep it in a liquid form. Now there's a couple ways that you can do refinement of silver. All of them require this solution, which is called a silver nitrate. You can start by just putting a bunch of sterling silver, scrap silver, whatever, and dissolving that into the solution, and then pulling out the pure silver from there. We've already done that using a little bit of a different method, so we already have pure silver, but we're going to use this solution for another part of our silver refinement called a silver cell. We'll do some more videos showing all you guys these things. I'm looking forward to that, but for right now, we're just going to show you how to make silver nitrate. And what silver nitrate is, it is basically a combination of solid silver that is going to be dissolved into the solution, distilled water, and we're going to use a nitric acid to dissolve all of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up, ready, get these on the hot plates, and we'll get you guys in a few seconds. Alright, so we pretty much have it set up. What we did is we've moved the beakers in onto the hot plates. And just to show you guys a few things that we'll be working with today, this is the nitric acid that we will be adding slowly to this to dissolve the silver. And then this is just distilled water. Anytime you're working with a silver nitrate, you always want to use distilled water. We will be covering it with these hot plates. Now we are going to move the camera as I'm doing this, just so you guys get a better angle at what's going on inside. So you'll see from here on in, not me as much, but the actual process. Okay guys, so what's going on here is we now have everything inside of the fume hood. Fume hoods are devices that basically have a fan that will take away all of these fumes that are coming out of the beakers. In this particular case, this is a nitrogen dioxide, very dangerous gas. You don't want to mess with it. So if you try this at home, please, please, please be safe. Do this in a ventilated area, or preferably do this in a fume hood. In the case of this fume hood, it takes it out through a main exhaust system. It runs it through 3 stages of carbon filtration, which neutralizes the gas before it exits outside. But what's happening inside is we have the beakers, we have the silver that's now the water's not boiling, but just about boiling. And we have the watch plates on top to kind of withhold all that condensation in there. And I added a little bit of nitric. And what that nitric's going to do is it's going to start dissolving all of that silver into a liquid form, in what we call going into solution. And what we're going to end up with at the end of all of this is just a pure silver nitrate. We started with a very clean silver, so this silver nitrate should be very, very clear, and that's what we want. We're going to actually use this in our secondary silver cell, so we'll be showing you more about it. But I just want to give you guys an update of what's going on, and we'll let this play for a little bit. As the gas, the orange gas starts to not be as prevalent, that means that all the nitric has been used up. So we'll wait for a little bit, and then we'll add more nitric in. We'll use a glass rod to stir it, and we're just going to keep repeating this process until all of this silver is dissolved and the solution is pretty crystal clear. Okay, so we still have some gas in there, but it has died down a little bit. See how that fume hood just takes that stuff away? So we're going to add a little bit more nitrate to it. Again, just want to get you guys some exposure to what this looks like. You want to add this slowly and just a little bit at a time. I'm going to use a stir rod, give it a good stir. And I would say about a lot of this has already been dissolved in both. Okay. And we're just going to keep doing that until all the silver is dissolved. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I have a little bit of a higher view than what I'm filming at, but the beaker on the left still has a good amount of silver. The beaker on the right has some, but not near as much, but we didn't start with as much. So yeah, we'll let this play for a little bit, give you guys the effect, but this is what we're going to keep doing until all this is gone. And again, we just want to end up with a very clear solution. Okay, everyone, so we are back. It's probably been about an hour and a half since we last checked in. You can see the beaker on the right is it's a little muddy still, but for the most part, it's a clear liquid. It doesn't have a blue or green color to it, which means it doesn't have a lot of other dissolved coppers and all that type of stuff. This will probably clear up a little bit as it starts to settle. I just put a few more drops of nitrogen in and stirred it. So we're going to let that go on the heat for a little bit more. The beaker on the left still has a little bit to dissolve, but we're probably 2/3 of the way done. And just letting you guys see how it's coming. So hey guys, just checking back in. We are probably about 2 hours into this, and as you can see, the beaker on the right is pretty much crystal clear. There's a little bit of residue at the bottom. I don't know from a camera angle if you can see it or not. That did not dissolve. That's okay. We're going to go through a filtration process, which we'll also show you in this video. It didn't dissolve because it's probably either like a gold, a platinum, a palladium, something like that that's in the precious metals group. We'll filter that out and we'll refine that at a later date. But yeah, the beaker on the left looks great. We went ahead and shut the power off. We're just letting that cool. I'm sorry, on the right. The beaker on the left, we're still going. Keep in mind that started out with about 3 times the amount of silver in it, so it's not surprising. It's going to take a little bit longer, but when we're all done, that beaker on the left should look like the beaker on the right. So we'll touch back in with you guys a little bit later on. Okay guys, welcome back. So you can see the beaker on the right is really cleared up. That's exactly how you want a good silver nitrate to look. Again, still got some sediment on the bottom, as I said before. The beaker on the left, I just hit it with a little more acid, but for the most part, you can see we're not getting a lot of orange off-gassing, very faint. We're gonna let this go for maybe another 15 minutes just to cook out all that acid, get whatever's remaining, and then that will eventually clear up and look like the beaker on the right, kind of as all the remaining sediment kind of sets to the bottom. Then we're going to let it cool down for a little bit, and we'll pick this video up at that point. Okay guys, good morning. So we are back. It is the next morning. I actually let these kind of cool overnight and just wanted to show you guys what we now have. In each beaker we have a very, very clear silver nitrate, which means all that silver that was sitting on the bottom when we started has now been dissolved. There is a little bit of residue on the bottom of each beaker. That didn't dissolve, that's probably platinum group metal, gold, platinum, palladium. Here's the other beaker. God, these are heavy. When you get all that dissolved metal in there, they become very, very heavy. So yeah, what we're gonna do now is we're going to drain these, filter out the residue in the bottom, and then we're gonna get them poured into the silver cell and get our second silver cell booted up. So bear with us, we're gonna reposition the camera and show you guys this process. All right guys, so what we got set up here is a little bit of a vacuum system, and there's a couple parts to it. First of all, you have the vacuum air pump. You have a hose that connects to this port on the beaker, and then you have a funnel with a filter. And you have a little rubber gasket that kind of helps keep the suction between the two. And the reason we do this is, again, we don't want any of this residue on the bottom to get into our silver nitrate and be poured into our silver cell. So we just keep doing this. Now, you don't have to have this air vac system. It just helps this drain and pull through the funnel a lot faster if you have it. So would highly recommend it to anybody if you're doing a lot of this stuff. And then again, what's going to be caught in that filter is all of this residue in the bottom, which we're assuming is platinum group metals, possibly gold, and that'll get caught in that filter, and then we save those filters for further processing. But look how clear that silver nitrate turned out. That is how you want your silver nitrate to look. Because the cleaner the silver nitrate you start, the easier everything else you do in refinement is going to be. A little bit more in, you don't want it to get too full so it goes over that air port. That should be good. And while that's pulling through, we're going to come over here and we're going to show you where this is going to go. This is going to be our secondary silver cell. I think we just did a video talking about our first silver cell. So here at Merit Precious Metals, we do really a three-stage refinement because we always start with a very clean silver nitrate, and we get that very clean silver nitrate by using a sugar and lime method. And we'll go more into that as we have that process happen live in the shop. But then what we do is we really use silver cells to refine silver, and it is by far the best way. If you read any refinement video, they're going to talk a lot about, electrolysis cells, and that's what a silver cell is. So this is our stage 1 silver cell. In our stage 1 silver cell, basically what we run through this is kind of sterling silver, junk silver. This is all the type of silver that we win at auctions. This is what we get in. We run it through a stage 1 cell, and what's in this silver cell is the silver nitrate solution that we just made. Now, not that we just made, because that's going to go in here, but it's a silver nitrate solution, and then you can see that it's in a stainless steel And we'll try to get you down close in there. And you can see that silver builds up on the inside of those stainless pans. And why that happens is because there's an electrolysis that basically there's cathode wires connected to our power cell, which is down there. And then there's a basket full of silver, and then there's an anode wire. And basically what happens is the electrolysis, very low voltage electrolysis, runs through this on a positive charge. It hits all of this silver that's sitting in that solution, creates an electrical current. The current is grounded as these grounding leads are attached to the metal pan, and anything that is pure silver will plate out to the sides of the pan. So that's why you see those pure silver crystals growing on the inside of that pan, and you see this solution starting to turn to a dark blue. And that's because the other metals that are in, you know, whatever we're running through here, in this case it's little silver electrical contacts, they have a lot of copper, zinc, other things besides silver. So all of those metals will change this solution to a different color as they get dissolved, and all the silver, the pure silver, will plate out on the side. And then what you're left with is you're left with pure silver crystal. Now what we're going to do today, that's the silver crystal that's been cleaned and dried that grows on the side. Now what we're going to do today is we're going to start up our secondary cell, and everything that comes out of this cell, like I have my first anode basket packed. So this is just packed. And if I had to guess, this is probably got 60 plus ounces, maybe 70 plus ounces of silver in it. So this is just that pure silver crystal that comes out of stage one. We're going to pack it in an anode basket. We're going to use this solution that we just made and we're going to boot up our secondary refinement cell. Now, do I have to do this? No. To be honest with you, this is probably 4/9 fine pure silver. We've just always double refined silver through this process. So is it overkill? It's probably overkill, but we just want to make sure that we always are producing the finest silver out there. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to keep filling these beakers up. I'll let you guys watch a little bit more of the process here. So we're going to switch to that beaker because that one's getting kind of full. And then I'm going to take this beaker and we're just going to dump that solution into that silver cell. And we're going to keep pouring. So the goal here is just to get everything that we did last night as far as making this silver nitrate, get it all into that silver cell and get that silver cell booted up. I know this may look a little slow, but I'll be honest, without having this vac system, it's 10 times slower. So again, would highly recommend anybody that's doing this to get one of these vac systems. It really, really, really does help. guys, so we have the last little bit of liquid going through right now. Kind of adjust down here. But you see how that clear that liquid ends up being? You want to be able to put your hands behind it. And that's the silver nitrate that we made last night. Again, we're just getting some final filtration through it. And then you can see in that filter, that's all that residue that was kind of at the bottom of the beakers. And again, that's just going to be gold, platinum, palladium primarily. That stuff just doesn't dissolve, and that's why we filter it out to catch it, and then we refine that separately. So we'll get this dumped into the silver cell here, but wanted to show you guys the end result of the dissolving that we did last night. Alright, so now we have all the solution into the silver cell. You can see again how nice and clear that is. We're going to fill the rest of this up with distilled water. Anytime you're working with metals and acids and dissolving, you always want to use distilled water. No other type of water. At least in solution form. For rinsing and stuff like that, you can use other type of water. And we're gonna get that filled up a little bit more. You want to leave enough room for the basket, the anode basket that contains all that silver, to go in and not overflow it. That should be good. Okay. Now I already have the grounds, these negative leads hooked up. I already have the power supply down there. So we're going to put the lid on this. There we go. Now, this is, again, I've said it a few times, but just so you guys can kind of follow what's going on here. We have two silver cells. This is a first silver cell, and we're going to put in old sterling, old jewelry, old scrap silver. It's going to produce pure silver crystal, which is what I have here. Now we are going to do a secondary refinement of that pure silver crystal. Now when we put this anode on, we should instantly start getting readings on the power supply, and we are. So that's the power supply for power cell number 1. That's the stage 1 refinement. This is stage 2 that we just hooked up. So what that means is the silver cell is now in operation. It is producing basically 1.3 volts at 2.8 amps, so it's a very, very low current. As more silver starts to build up, you'll start to see that voltage increase a little bit. But what you really want to pay attention to is the amps. I always set mine at 2.8 amps. I've just found that to be a good mix. That'll get you some bigger silver crystal growth and also some smaller growth at the very beginning stages. So we are going to check back on this in a few hours. And in a few hours, what you should see, get that situated a little bit better. What you should see is you'll probably see some initial silver crystals forming on the inside of this container. Okay, so check back a little bit. Okay, everyone, so it has been a few hours, probably about 3 hours, and we are going to take a look inside this silver cell. And just to give you all a little bit of an understanding what's happening inside, we're going to
Move that silver in this basket. We're going to deconstruct this a little bit here. And there you go. So we're going to get as close up as we can here. And I can see it vividly. I don't know how this is coming through on camera, but clearly all sides and the bottom of this silver cell are already lined with silver crystal, and that's what we want to see. So that is the silver nitrate and silver cell reboot of our secondary silver cell.